Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Let's see if I can be heard. Yeah, testing, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that seems good. On
We're
paper.
gonna find out in post.
Yeah.
Good morning, America. Welcome to Tom Burgundy or whatever. Anyway, we don't know what we're doing.
Never do. What else
No.
is new?
Yeah,
Honestly.
Just winging it.
So we're pre-recording a lot of things in advance here because we're going to be quite busy during the Christmas season. But I thought it would be interesting, and I know we touched on a Christmas episode last year, but we thought we'd do it again, but with a little bit of a twist this time. So something a little bit different. So something that our church does is something called Blue Christmas, and it just so happens this year to fall on the longest night of the year, where there's a lot of darkness, as opposed to the light. So it's December 21st, and something that Blue Christmas kind of focuses it. Oh wow, I can't speak. Focuses in on is kind of looking at, the struggles and the pain and all that kind of stuff that comes alongside of a season like this, where you think of Christmas as joyful and everything, like Merry Christmas, have joy, be merry, like you're with friends and family. But what about those who have lost those? And that's kind of the focus of Blue Christmas is, hey, we're here alongside you. We hurt alongside you. But at the same time, we recognize that this season isn't necessarily a pleasant one for everybody. And I think it also kind of meshes really well with the series that we're in, Fire and Water, mainly on the spiritual warfare kind of side of things. Because there's a lot of perspectives where you can feel hurt either by, I don't want to say necessarily just the church, but it could be people within the church. It could be literally anything, or just circumstantial. Like my body's breaking down, or all these kind of things. It's not like we get any younger. It's not like life gets any easier. That kind of thing. So I'll pray us into it, and then we'll kind of start this discussion. I don't really know where it'll go from here, but I think that God will lead it in the direction that it needs to go. So, dear God, I just thank you that we're able to even do something like this and to give credit where credit is due. I know that sometimes it's hard for us to, I guess, see the counter argument or counter side to something that is so culturally ingrained in us as being happy. Something like Christmas, like, oh, it's something joyful and everything that's positive. But I know that that's not how life necessarily always goes, Lord. Pray that you'd be able to kind of speak however you want to in the midst of this discussion, and that hopefully this is some sort of a help to those out there, whoever may be listening. And I pray that you would just be with each and every one of us through this discussion and through this season. So I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen. Now, I'm not going to play a bumper. I don't have a bumper for it. I technically could do the Fire and Water bumper, but I'm not going to. I might have done the cultural intake one for the previous one, but
I don't remember, I'm going to be honest.
It's been a year.
It's been a year. That is a good way of putting it.
So something that actually Jonathan and I have been working on with the high school youth has been a series which I didn't really like the name of it at first, which is called The Scandal of Christmas.
Name is scandalous.
So it's like, that's a fun title.
Yeah.
But it kind of looks into kind of how the different sides of the Christmas story that you
Mhm.
may not necessarily hear about or even fully understand. Because there's some things I think we take for granted, like, oh, the virgin birth.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that's a thing. And then you look at it in a different perspective. You go, wait, huh? But that doesn't make any sense. And then you get to like the whole, look at it from the perspective of the other people that are there.
Mhm.
So say you take the prophecy and everything out of it, just like the Jews forgot the prophecy a little bit.
Yeah.
What does it look like to them? Oh, it could be adultery. It could be like different things like that. And I don't even know if I'm supposed to say that on YouTube.
Yeah, you said it anyways.
We get flagged. We get flagged.
So there's just different things like that where there was a real repercussion
Mhm.
with some of the laws that they had in place where, Mary, technically, by Jewish law, would have been stoned to death.
Well, it's one of the things you look at Joseph too, like his account of it, and his view of it all. And that, what does it say that he was going to do? Like he was going to quietly divorce her. That because he was like he's looking at this like, okay, what are you talking about, Mary?
Right.
What do you mean this angel came and saw you? Okay, and then but you look at that, from his perspective, and why did he want to quietly divorce her and not make a public spectacle? Well, still being a God fearing man, he didn't want to be responsible for this woman that he loved, her death, and that possibly going that direction. But there'd still be a lot of heartbreak and heartache and all of that he would have been dealing with.
And I think, and I don't know what it is necessarily, but I feel like we focus so much on Mary in the story of Christmas that we, I think, neglect Joseph a bit.
Mhm.
Because it's something that he was really going through,
Yeah.
and something that because I spoke about the virgin birth and everything for the high school youth, and it's just okay. He didn't find out until he was told by an angel
Mhm.
Mhm.
saying, "Oh yeah, like." And I'd imagine they would understand if someone's like pregnant, or at least have some sort of inkling based on experiences that they've seen before, different things like that. So Joseph may have known, and I don't know by how much pregnant Mary was at the
Right.
point when she was told,
Right.
because I would imagine Mary would have felt something was off
Mhm.
for the angel of the Lord to say something. So at that point, if Mary can notice, well, Joseph might too.
Yep.
And so Joseph's like, bro, what's going on? And he didn't basically find out, oh, this is actually what's happening, until after he was told
Right.
by the divine. Kind of further cementing, well, they kind of forgot the prophecy. Or the fact that, oh, I don't know, it's been over 400 years of silence.
Right.
I mean, who wouldn't, forget or even misconstrue things?
Yeah.
Minor details.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, and even talking about 400 years of silence, or who wouldn't have forgotten that? You look at the prophecy of Emmanuel, that the virgin will give birth and his name will be called Emmanuel. All that stuff from Isaiah. How many hundreds of years prior was that even?
Yeah.
You're looking at what 600-700 years, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's something like that. And the reason why, you look at it even in context, you look at why the prophecy was there in the first place,
Mhm.
Mhm.
is because, well, they were scared of being taken over by basically their own tribe,
Yeah.
along with their enemies.
Right.
And they're like, yay. And then after the fact, their enemies gotten taken out. But then shortly after, they too got conquered.
Yep.
Which is like, Oh, weren't you supposed to save us from this, God?
Yeah.
Yeah, what about that prophecy you gave us?
And then nothing for a very long time. Now, this is a caveat I gave to the high schoolers as well. This 400 years of silence doesn't mean things were silent.
Mhm.
It just means nothing was written down.
Yeah.
So, we don't really know what was going on, but as we believe kind of the Bible is God breathed, everything's in it that needs to be in it or should be in it. Um, it doesn't mean that God doesn't move outside of it. I mean, you see that even day to day,
Mhm.
just with us living in general. I'm sorry, the book is not being currently written right now.
Right.
Does it mean we're silent right now? No. Because God still moves.
Mhm.
Train has left. Trying to get back on track. Phoning
Well,
a friend.
Yeah, well, yeah. Here's your phone a friend. Bring this back to kind of like the idea of Blue Christmas and that, and how it's all about entering into the suffering of others. Thinking about even the silence of 400 years, or Silent Night, or whatever. We talk about all these different things of silence and God being silent, and there's the whole premise or idea or whatever. I forgot who coined it, but the dark night of the soul, and that's what a lot of it is that people go through these periods of suffering and they're crying out like, okay, God, where are you in all of this? Why are you being silent right now? I need you in this. But he remains silent at times, and sometimes that's just we can try to explain it away, but that's not going to do any good. He might be just using that silence for whatever purposes. It might be an opportunity for somebody else that's gone through a similar pain that can empathize with that and come alongside you on that. God uses that silence and that dark night of the soul in all kinds of different ways, but that is still the core of that Blue Christmas. The idea of it is that if God is silent in something, we still need each other, and He is still there. It's not that He's forsaken anybody, because we have that promise that He won't leave us or forsake us. But pain is still a very real part of life, and we go through all that.
Yeah. And especially when, some people think when they get baptized or different things that everything's going to be a-okay.
Mhm.
Things are going to be nice gumdrops and rainbows.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads into what I'm talking about tonight, which is all about expectations and being able to let them go. Kind of again tying back to that prophecy. Well, after how many years, you also look at when the prophecy was given. What were the people expecting from a Messiah?
Yeah.
And we talked about it last time that we got we're on this podcast, but conqueror, king, champion, revolutionary, whatever you want to call it. That's where their thoughts were at. And Jesus was a servant, a healer, and a teacher. And this is, I guess, Brandon, this will spoil some of my message for you. But I really wrestled with whether to include it or not, because I think looking at it from just the outside, it might sound scandalous, but I would even go so far as to say that God gave the people exactly what they asked for.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Jesus was a conqueror, but not over nations, but over death.
Mhm.
He was a king, but not one of, a palace or a jeweled crown, but a servant of every tribe and every tongue. He was a champion, but not solely over a mortal struggle, but an eternal one. And he was a revolutionary, but not one who just upended the status quo. He completely upended the political, social, religious order, and whose death mission was so radical that it sent hell to its knees. I mean, the guy was exactly what they had asked for, but not in the way that they were thinking. They were only thinking, you hear, oh, the government's going to be on his shoulders for us.
Yeah.
Prince of Peace for us, not
For the world.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we're all guilty of that too, right? We're always looking through a kind of a narrow-minded lens.
Well, I think so many times we think of it in a personal standpoint.
Exactly.
Well, especially in the West.
100%. And that's what, when you say, well, if I get baptized, everything's going to be okay now. Well, that's your expectation of what your faith should be and of who God is. But that's not what we're promised. Even
Right.
The whole pick up your cross and follow me sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
there will be suffering. It's not gumdrops and rainbows, no matter how much you want it to be.
Well, and that's what I mean. Jesus himself talks about that too. Like in this life, you're gonna have troubles.
Yeah.
He made no exceptions about that.
Yeah.
It's something I think we take for granted. Like it's so easy to say, "Oh yeah, that's definitely what that is,"
Mhm.
and then push comes to shove, and you have it yourself. You have the same thing in front of you. You're gonna be like, "Hey God, where are you? You know, my appointment's at like 5 o'clock today."
Is
So
the
if you,
doctor not in?
Yeah.
so if you can come in about 10 minutes, I'll think about it then.
Yeah.
And so much we put God on a timer,
Yeah.
where in actuality, he has his own time, and we're just merely a part of the time frame.
Yeah.
Like we hear that we are God's hands and feet.
Mhm.
Well, God has hands and feet throughout all time from that point on. What those hands and feet are doing is his will, but they differ depending on the situation, the time, whatever.
Mhm.
And so often I don't think we think enough eternally or just large scope. I think so much we focus inward instead of outward.
Very me focused.
And I think part of why Blue Christmas is such a thing is because when we have those things that are close to us break down, we feel stuck. We feel alone, even though we aren't necessarily alone.
Yeah.
It's just everything that we were almost potentially holding fast in. Well, at the end of the day, things that break down. I mean, look at family, for example. Families are the epitome of organized chaos, or possibly disorganized chaos, or
Sometimes
chaos,
both.
or
Yeah.
just chaos.
Yeah. Just chaos. Yeah.
But at the same time, there's ups and downs. There's the positives and there's the negatives. There's really, really good stuff that comes with friends and family. But on the same inverse side, if things break down or have a negative spin to it, it can cause things to spiral.
Reminds me a little bit of maybe it's just because I just watched it last night, but A Wonderful Life. The uncle, messing up with the $8,000, and you've got this, George Bailey, who he has done everything for this community, and he's fully willing to take the blame. Things are completely falling apart around him, but then, in the end, it's the community that still, rallies around. I don't know where I was going with that, but something just sparks, maybe it's just because it's been on my mind lately, that movie.
Yeah.
But
Well, and even thinking, like, kind of relating that to, like, the whole Blue Christmas idea and sitting and suffering. Like, one of the things I love about Blue Christmas is that where it stems from really is the Jewish tradition of loss and grief in that. When, in Jewish tradition, when a loved one passed, say, a husband, a wife, a child, whatever, whoever that, close immediate family was that passed, the person most immediately affected by that loss wasn't expected to go back to like a regular life. They were expected to just sit in silence for a week. And people would come around and, bring them food and all that type of stuff. And they would just sit there without saying a word for a week. And then after that week, from that week point to the next 30 days out or whatever, it was like a slow kind of reintegration back. Like, okay, now we talk about the person's life and their legacy and like all the stories and the good, the bad, all that stuff. But there was that, that really 30 days just set aside to grieve. Yeah, exactly. And if, depending on who it was, if it was a spouse, that would extend out to a year where they would just be like, okay, we don't expect you to go back to work kind of thing until a year later. You've got that whole year to grieve, which really touches on what you kind of brought up at the beginning of this. Christmas isn't always the greatest time of the year. Like, it's a terrible time for a lot of people. I would venture to guess it's a pretty bad time for most people, more than it is a joyous time. But,
Well, and I mean, we talked about it before, but it almost is like all of these lights and baubles is almost a band-aid over
yeah,
to try and mask. There's hurt here. This winter really is a season of
Mm.
finality and death and
Yeah.
and sadness, and so it really does feel like this is our band-aid on a deeper struggle. Take that as you will. Some
Yep.
people look at that and they get excited. For other people, it's almost insulting.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to feel joy at
Right.
this time?
yeah, especially when oh, this is the first Christmas without, this is the
Exactly.
first birthday without, this is the first anniversary
Mhm.
without, or even somebody who's lost a job. Like, how am I supposed to, financially meet all these social obligations that we place on people?
Exactly.
There's so many different things.
And that's kind of like the start of it, and it was because of like that kind of idea that made me think of one of the I think what it's one of the biggest scandals of the Christmas story, which is the slaughter of the innocents.
Mhm.
And this is something that I didn't bring up for the high school, even though I really, really wanted to. I just didn't have the time to. Because I think it's really important to realize another perspective. Because so often we look at it in our own perspectives. You hear the phrase, oh, put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Okay. So how about we do that from the perspective of the parents who lost their kids
Yeah.
through Herod's decree of slaughtering all children basically under the age of whatever range it was from the Magi coming,
Yep.
because they were there for the prophecy. So what about the parents of the kids that were lost?
And it's funny that you bring that up. I mean, not funny, haha, but interesting that you bring that up, because that's actually something I brought up at our men's group. So I teach a men's group at our church as well. But last year when we were talking, around this time, again, bringing in Blue Christmas and all that type of stuff, that was one of the things I brought up, is thinking about putting yourself in exactly that position of, okay, you've got these parents that they lost their child because of Herod's decree, and then 30 years later, whatever, like, this guy Jesus is coming along and doing all these miracles and that, and there's this mother or this father that sees Jesus and kind of thinks like, oh, my son would have been about that age. How much pain and heartbreak that would have brought just in seeing this is the Messiah who's supposed to bring joy.
Yeah.
Is he?
And then
I mean, he is, yes, but
and then you see from that perspective, okay, so this is where like some of the seeds of doubt and
Yeah.
different things that would come in, because it's like, well, for me, we're looking in that perspective, he didn't bring anything but death.
Yeah.
So, and maybe that's because of part of like that grieving process, and even in the Jewish tradition, yeah, you take a year off or whatever. It doesn't mean that that doesn't affect you anymore.
Mhm.
It's still there in the back burner.
Yeah.
So, like, I even think of like a parent that they find out through the grapevine somehow that the reason why Herod did what he did was to eliminate the king of the Jews.
Mhm.
What did they announce at Jesus' death on the cross? This is
This is
Jesus, King of the Jews.
Yep.
And I could understand the frustration,
Mhm.
the jeering, the shouting, probably in agreement to basically crucifying
Mhm.
from those people who were affected in that way. I'm not saying it's right,
Right. No.
but I think it's a very human thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it goes back to that whole empathy. Put yourself in their shoes. How would you respond honestly,
Yeah.
without hindsight, without context, how would you respond in that situation?
Yeah.
I
Well,
guarantee we would all be doing the exact same thing.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's where everybody likes to think about, like, oh, I would have done it different. No, you wouldn't have.
I'm
No, we-
holier than thou.
Yeah, we all would have done exactly the same thing. We all would have been the ones, saying crucify him. And all that.
Exactly.
It's, I mean, it's the whole hindsight. We know the prophecy because of we read the Bible.
We see it.
Sure, they would have had the prophecy as well, but at that time they forgot it. That's a crucial thing.
Yeah.
That they were kind of just going with the flow, kind of, this is life. It's been going for hundreds of years. There's been I say relatively nothing, but like nothing else was written.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Basically everything that was written, the last of it was in exile, or just coming out of it at least. But it's, yeah. I keep thinking of like the slaughter of the innocents. It's like I'd almost like to hear, even from their perspective, the children that were taken out. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
They didn't have anything to do with this.
Right.
And like, how does God's love affect them? And I mean, I guess I think that applies to like just about anything, even today, about different things that happen, whether that's a stillborn or different things like that. Just struggling, like just different struggles and trials, even in this life, where it's like, wow, I wish I could have had a conversation with some of these. And I mean, I've heard stories of divine nature where, a mother has talked with basically her stillborn child in a dream and different things like that. And like they tell it to me weeping because they felt so guilty. Even though there's nothing really they did wrong.
Right.
It's like that parent's intuition. And like you think of that even for like the parents of the lost children from the slaughter of the innocents. And I think it would be much the same. I don't want to say like it haunts you, like those kind of conversations, dreams, like if that would be haunting. But like how would God move in the midst of that? How would God extend his love to those affected in that way, almost by what the prophecy was? Or, I even think of Judas, for example.
Yeah.
He was part of the prophecy, but on the one triggering some of it. And what did he do? Well, he felt extremely guilty to the point of he took his own life.
Right.
Because he's like, oh no, I messed up. Now, obviously, that's not the correct way to end things, but what's even more bizarre is even the way things ended was prophesied. Then we can get into the whole free will, predestination thing. But I'm not going to go there. That's way too big a topic.
Different conversation.
Right.
But it's sometimes you just have to sit and contemplate some of these things, meditate on it, to really begin to grasp some of what's there. And it's not necessarily an easy thing. Like for me, I can't say I know the perspective of a parent. I'm not one. So I can't say I know. Whereas Marty, you are a parent.
Right.
So you would have a little bit more grasp on it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're also not in the perspective of someone who's stillborn. So how would we even know that perspective? Or like a lot of these, and this is why community is such a big thing, and why Blue Christmas has a huge community outlet, because there are people that have gone through similar things that can sit with you through it. And I mean, that's something that I think, especially in the West, we neglect a little bit, is that community aspect. You see a little bit of it in Job. When Job went through things, his friends sat with him, and then later they talked to him about things.
It fell apart, but
Maybe not in the most productive or
Yep.
correct ways, but the whole practice itself is there.
Yep.
Yeah. So Blue Christmas. What's next? My brain's trying to think of what do we talk about next, and then I'm like, cannot compute.
I mean, I think we've really hit on the highlights of Blue Christmas and what it is in that. So
So to lighten things up, do we want to do a Christmas Carol?
We could.
I'm gonna have fun with my voice changer things down here. I'm not even gonna know what it is, but I'm gonna hit voice changer and we're gonna start singing tunes.
What's the
this is
song?
gonna be terrible.
That's a great idea. I have no idea.
Random Christmas Carol generator.
Sounds great.
Last Christmas I gave you my heart. I'm just kidding. That's not what popped up.
What?
But we could.
I don't even know that one.
That's what the lyrics are for.
Yeah, I'm gonna need lyrics no matter what.
We're just reading them, right?
Yeah.
List of Christmas carols.
Okay. I mean, we could do like one that everybody knows, like Jingle Bells, possibly. Not the Batman smells or anything.
All right,
like
I'm
that.
out.
No, I'm kidding. Jingle Bell Heist. That's not what that is. 2025 film. Wow. Wouldn't put it past him. Oh, Jingle Bell Rock?
We could do Jingle Bell Rock. That would be
Especially with the voice changer.
fun. Let's do that one.
To be honest, I only know like the chorus.
Yeah,
That's why you have the lyrics.
That's what I'm pulling too. Like I don't remember the song.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about all I know.
All right.
Okay, this is gonna go real interestingly. So hopefully this makes your Blue Christmas a little bit brighter.
Or maybe it'll make it darker. Who knows?
Yes. We apologize in advance.
Should I just change it multiple times in this song, just to see what happens?
Sure.
Might as well.
So we'll start like normal, I guess, or do we just not start normal?
I say you start normal, get through the first, verse, and then
And then
chorus.
We'll do it. So do we just go through that and that's it?
That's kind of what I have just on.
We're just gonna go lyrics on Google and see what happens. I don't know either.
I pulled up some. Whatever. It's the same lyrics.
So maybe when I give you the thumbs up, give it a change. All right.
Just hover over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You ready, gentlemen?
Nope.
All right, let's go.
3, 2, 1. Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing up bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell,
Jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chime in jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air.
What a bright time, it's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time is a swell time to go gliding in a one-horse sleigh.
Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet. Jingle around the clock. Mix and mingle in the jingling feet. That's the jingle bell rock.
Jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chime in jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air.
What a bright time, it's the right time to rock the night away. Jingle bell time is a swell time to go gliding in a one-horse sleigh. Giddy up, jingle horse, pick up your feet. Jingle around the clock. Mix and mingle in the jingling feet. That's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell, that's the jingle bell rock. I never realized.
Realize how redundant those lyrics are. Like they, yikes.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I don't think I've ever actually looked at the lyrics to this before.
I just listened
Like,
to the
I
song,
know
I'm
the
like,
chorus.
Oh, it's a fun time, and then it's like,
Yeah.
wait a
It's
minute,
a
when you're
swell
actually singing
time.
it,
I
it's
don't
like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Like, I remember the chorus, but that's about it.
I remember the Pee Wee Herman Playhouse
Oh,
Christmas
yeah.
special with Katie Lang singing it. That's a trip. That's a fun time.
I'm really curious to see how it sounds like because I started just hitting
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be completely different voices like every single time. Don't worry, we have a
He
full
actually hit
cast.
the drum sound effect every
Yeah.
single time.
That would be terrible. So hopefully that lightened up your day.
A little bit of joy in the Blue Christmas.
It certainly didn't light up ours, but
It lit it up in red.
well,
It's on air. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, this is my last episode.
I could never show my face again.
With that being said, bye.